recruitment, retention and training a bit of a headache for you? If so, you're not alone. I'm going to introduce you to something in this Whiteboard Wednesday that might just help. Hi, I'm Sam on my own today on a Whiteboard Wednesday, and I want to introduce you to something called the MBTI, which stands for the Myers Briggs Type Indicator. Now, if you've never heard of it, you might think, what the heck is this? And what's it got to do with the state agency? But actually, bear with me because it does have a big relevancy. And that's because, I don't know about you guys, but at the moment we're finding it really difficult to recruit. Training is takes a big chunk out of your diary because you're supposed to be out on vals and getting houses sold. And then there's also retention, which is, your reviews and making sure that people feel adequately trained, equipped and resourced and paid for the job that you're doing. Now, that all comes at a price, and the price is a cost to your time, your energy and your money. But something like the Myers Briggs test is a little tool to help you to make sure you're doing it right, and also to help you be a little bit more self-aware and aware of those around you. It can also help with other things like client relationships are really important to how the Myers Briggs works. That's really going to help you with that. But actually, I find it most beneficial when we're looking at a team and how everybody interacts together. So I'm recording this on a Wednesday because it's Whiteboard Wednesday, and yesterday we had a team meeting and all 18 people were in the room and we all did the Myers Briggs test. We did a very much simplified version of it, but I'm going to explain to you how it works. Then you can see whether you can investigate it and use it for your agency, because it is quite costly. I think last time I checked it was about £150 per person to get them actually formally tested, but there's lots and lots of free online tests you can do that at least will give you some indication of the kind of person that you're dealing with. And what we're talking about here isn't to judge somebody. All the questions and all the answers are actually very neutral. None are good and none are bad. What they are is a reflection of how that person perceives information and deals with the information that they're given. So, this is what it looks like. It's got 4 questions, or 4 main scales, if you like, of different kinds of ways that people interact with their world and take on information. So whether they're introvert, extrovert, sensing, intuiting, thinking, feeling, perceiving, judging, and what you end up with is 4 letters to show the dominant version of each of those. Now, I've got a crib sheet here. We might even put this actually as a link. Can we put it as a link somewhere, please, to make sure we've got that. And the first one is extrovert and introvert, and it's actually quite complex, but I'm going to give you the simple version of it so that you can use it straight away in your agency. So, introvert and extrovert. Now, it might make you think, in fact I did actually ask our team this, what is an introvert, what's an extrovert? And they said extrovert is confident and outgoing and introvert is shy. And that is definitely not the case, and it's certainly not in terms of the Myers Briggs. What this is actually asking you is, where do you get your energy from? Now, I'm actually an introvert, but some people would consider that I was actually quite confident and outgoing, and I probably feel I am as well. But when I need to relax, I tend to want to do that by myself. And if I've got a big event coming up, we've got a big mastermind event coming up this week as we record this, I'm thinking, when am I going to get time to spend time on my own to recharge? Somebody who's an extrovert doesn't think like that. Extroverts, a true extrovert, will want to be with other people in order to be able to recharge their batteries. So Tilly, who's behind the camera, she's a case in point. She likes to be with other people, and that helps her recharge her batteries rather than being on her own, which she possibly would find draining. Is that true, Ted? Mm-hmm. Yes, she says. Okay, so what you do is you scale yourself on here. So I would put myself definitely on the introvert end here of the introvert-extrovert scale. The next one is sensing versus intuition. So if I just look at my crib sheet, I can tell you that sensing tends to be working through problems, in order to solve problems, they work through the facts in order to reach a conclusion. Whereas somebody who is intuiting feels through the problem in order to reach a solution. And I'm definitely on the sensing side of that. So my 2 first letters is N for intuition, because there's 2 I's, and S for sensing. The next question is thinking or feeling. I hope you're playing along with this at home. Thinking and feeling. Thinking is, again, it's when I make a decision, I like to find the basic truth or principle to be applied regardless of the specific situation involved. So tends to be somebody who can be a little bit detached from a situation when they're trying to make a difficult decision, whereas feelings are taking other person's feelings into account. So you will make a decision based on what everybody else thinks and not just what you think as well. So it's probably more collaborative, whereas the first one thinking is probably more straightforward. You're making a decision in the best way you think possible. So that puts me on a T there on the thinking end of it. And by the way, everybody's a bit of both. So it's not true to say you're 100% here. And I was getting people to score themselves 50-50, 70-30, etc. But more likely you're along the middle somewhere. I'm just a bit of an extreme example. So judging and perceiving, which is the last one. Now, just remember though, for these purposes, that the judging isn't being judgmental about somebody else. Remember, these are neutral. So it's actually the way that, again, you use all the information that you're taking on board here, then how you're dealing with that information. So this is how people deal with the outside world, and this is judging. Here we go. If you like to have things decided, you like to be task orientated, you've got a to-do list, you tick things off on a to-do list, Tilly's going, no, not a chance, then judging is where you should be on that. And perceiving is, I like to stay open and respond to whatever happens. I don't really like deadlines, I like to do things at the last minute. That is definitely Tilly. And so I put myself on judging, and Tilly will probably put herself on perceiving. What was yours, Till? Were you the opposite of me? Pretty much.
I was INFP, so almost opposite, apart from I.
Right, so Tilly, I don't know if you can read this, was INFP, and Sam is NSTJ. The exact opposite.
Yeah.
Where's the N?
I is yours.
Oh yeah, the N.
ISTJ, yeah. So yeah, apart from the I.
Oh my goodness, two similar words. So what we then did actually, which was really interesting, is in the group, we got everybody to decide what their 4 letters were, and then to stand with other people who had categorised themselves in the same way. And they were the same kind of people, and they were doing the right jobs for their personality type. So we found that really, really interesting. And I think it's useful for people to be self-aware and to realise that not everybody thinks like they do. Some people really don't like deadlines and do things at the very last minute. Other people consider that a deadline is, a week ahead of the deadline. It's the same people who fill up their cars when they're, more than empty, or less than empty, I should say, when the car's screaming at them to fill them up with petrol, and they consider that is empty. Whereas some people consider halfway is empty, don't they? So everybody takes in information in different ways. And this is really important to you when you're recruiting, when you're retaining your team, when you're training them, when you're giving them reviews. It's really important to know how they perceive the world and how they're dealing with that information. Now, what has all this got to do with being a Fireweight member, which is kind of the point of this video? Well, I'm very glad you asked. Because if you go here and find out whether your area is available, what you'll then find is you are faced with a myriad of different kinds of training, coaching, advice, events, Q&As, lots and lots of support in the group to make sure that you get the best out of being a Fireweight member. And we know that that is not just about the best content, the best letters, and the best social media. We know that that goes way beyond there, because if you get those things right, your next challenge is going to be staff. And so that's where we come in. We are there to help you throughout your whole journey, whatever that entails. And it's a very holistic approach to a estate agency. And so we can teach you what we do here at Ashdown Jones, so that you can learn from not just us, but from the best agents in the country and do a better job of being a better agent. So just go to fire-wave.co.uk/start, find out whether your area is available, and then we can get you booked on the next mastermind event, and you can be learning this stuff too. Bye for now.